Have you ever felt the impact of unresolved conflict? Maybe it was the stress or the tension, the feeling that you're just not being heard. Well, I sure have. The fact is, conflict is inevitable. Whether we like it or not, at some point, we'll disagree with somebody. And our goal in this training is to equip you with the practical skills to communicate with empathy and understanding, specifically when seeking to address conflict. We're going to focus on a 5-step conflict resolution model, and this will help you build stronger relationships. By the end, you will be able to use empathetic communication to express your needs and understand others' perspectives without blame or judgment. You'll also learn to apply courage and vulnerability to build trust and transform challenging interactions into opportunities for stronger connection. The first step in constructively addressing conflict is to communicate with empathy and understanding. The fact is that empathy doesn't come naturally to most of us. Sure didn't come naturally to me. However, it's a skill that we can learn, and we can put it into practice every time we face a conflict. It's all about converting you statements into I statements. So instead of pointing the finger at someone, you point it at yourself. And in doing so, you reflect on your own feelings. So I'll give you a couple examples of empathetic statements. So instead of saying, you know what, you always leave your dirty dishes in the sink, I'm sick of cleaning up after you, an empathetic response could be, yeah, I hear you're frustrated about the dishes in the sink, and it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed with cleaning up. And I can understand how that would be annoying. Here, let's try another one. You never listen to my ideas. It's like my opinion doesn't even matter. Try saying, it sounds like you're feeling unheard and undervalued when I don't seem to listen to your ideas. Here's one more. Rather than saying, why are you always late? You have no respect for my time. Try this one. I hear that my lateness is causing you frustration and making you feel disrespected. Did you notice something in those statements? What I was really emphasizing was the I was sharing my perspective. Rather than pointing the finger at the individual, I'm pointing it at myself. Communicating with empathy is a very powerful way of sharing your perspective with another person in a non-judgmental and non-confrontational manner. So let me encourage you, the next time you are in a challenging situation, try it. Try communicating with empathy and see how it changes. I'd like to explore a simple yet effective 5-step collaborative conflict resolution model. So there's a technical way of explaining this process, and it's called the overlapping triangles. But after sharing this model in several elementary and high school classes, I quickly realized that it needed some tweaking. So what I did was I created what I call the onion approach. Now bear with me. It'll make sense once I explain. So imagine you're peeling an onion. You start with the outer leaf, and in conflict, this is known as the issue. As you keep peeling, you peel back another leaf, and that reveals the person's initial position. This is kind of what they outwardly want. As we go deeper, you peel off another leaf, uncovering the crucial interests. And these are their underlying needs. It's the why behind the position. You keep peeling another leaf and you discover your shared interests. Think of these as the common goals that connect you both. And then finally, you get to the core of the onion. And in conflict, this is what we call the shared solution. And ultimately, this is what's going to address each person's fundamental needs. So let's break down each of the 5 steps. Step number 1 is all about clearly identifying the issue. And to do this, both parties must have an equal opportunity to share their perspective. Here's how to do it effectively. What you want to do is you want to keep the initial conversation simple. And this is tough, trust me. Both parties should just share the main reason for the problem, like really what's actually going on. Try to be kind. I know this is hard, but work hard to only use words that won't hurt each other's feelings. Be direct. Listen carefully. Pay attention to what the other person is saying. Focus on the facts. Frame the issue objectively. Avoid blaming anyone or making assumptions. In my experience, the issues usually fall into several categories. And so the categories that I've identified in my experience include misunderstandings, different opinion, lack of respect, hurt feeling, communication, competition, unfairness, and then even finances. Those are generally the primary categories that issues fall into. The second step is recognizing and articulating your initial stance, or what's called your position statement. So ultimately, a helpful way to share your position statement is to really focus on wording it in a way of saying, I feel and I need you to. So this enables both parties to share how the conflict is actually impacting them personally without the other person becoming defensive. Let me give you a couple examples here. An individual could say, you always leave your dirty dishes in the sink. I'm sick of cleaning up for you. How about you try this? I feel frustrated and overwhelmed when the dishes are left in the sink. I need you to help me with the cleaning. Here's another example. You never listen to my ideas. It's like my opinion doesn't even matter. Try this. I feel unheard and undervalued when my ideas aren't even considered. I need you to listen to my suggestions. Here's a final one. Why are you always late? You have no respect for my time. Try this. I feel disrespected when you're late. I need you to be on time so I can feel that my time is valued. In those examples, you can see the difference it makes when you focus on yourself rather than pointing the finger at the other person. So step number 3. Now we're getting into the juicy part of the onion. It's called the interests. An interest is what you personally want or need. It's the reason you feel the way you do. And the critical step in understanding interests is all about asking questions. It's asking why and doing so empathetically. So I'll give you a couple questions that you can ask. Help me understand why that's so important to you. Here's another one. What's your biggest concern if we don't find a solution? How about, can you tell me what a positive outcome looks like for you? The key aspect of this step is really to focus on shifting the conversation from a superficial argument focused solely on the initial issue to a more meaningful discussion. Focus on what each person is actually trying to achieve. Another way I like to look at this step is rather than having each person divided by the issue, have them actually come onto the same side and address the issue together. And step number 4. So as we get deeper into the conversation or the onion, we start to understand and identify our shared interests. And we start to see, well, what exactly is the common goal? So by following these steps and talking through the issue, we're more likely to see our similar perspectives. My kids tease me about this all the time, and I'm going to share this fact about conflict resolution, which is really important. Conflict resolution requires curiosity. Curiosity is a key ingredient to uncover the deeper underlying motivations and interests behind a person's position. By maintaining a heart of curiosity, you can move beyond just the issue and actually get to the heart of the conflict. Being curious can actually dramatically change the outcome of a conflict by transforming what could have been a confrontational or heated conversation into a collaborative effort to actually find a solution. It really shifts the focus from who is right or wrong to what each person actually needs. So, for example, being curious uh, enables us to actually ask questions. So a question could be, help me understand why that's so important to you. And in doing this, it actually invites the other person to share maybe their underlying value or need driving their position without them feeling judged. And this approach really helps both parties discover their shared interests and common goals, which are essential for reaching a mutually agreeable solution. Here are a couple examples of some good, curious questions you can ask. What's most important to you about the situation and how it may impact our relationship in the long run? Here's another one. If we could find a way for both of us to feel successful regarding this issue, what would that look like for you? Another example could be, what of your core values do you believe are at stake here? And then finally, imagine this conflict is fully resolved and we're both happy with the outcome. What common goal do you think we will have achieved together? Finally, after going through each step with respect, empathy, and of course, don't forget curiosity, you'll work together to explore solutions that work for both of us. So this is step number 5. A shared solution it's an agreement. It's an agreement between both parties that come to address the initial issue. And it's understanding each other's positions, acknowledging personal and shared interests. It's really a way of saying we might not agree on everything, but we agree on this. Shared solutions may be a variety of outcomes. So I'll give you a couple examples here. A shared solution could be that both parties may simply acknowledge that there is a specific problem that exists and that problem needs to be addressed. Or it could be a shared understanding of each other's perspectives. It could also be maybe that there is an agreed upon solution and that they've identified. Could even be that there's a commitment to follow through with the agreement that they've made. So they identified the issue, they made an agreement, and they've said we're going to follow through. And that wraps up the 5 conflict resolution steps. So the next time you face a conflict, imagine the leaves of an onion. To get to the heart of the issue, you must peel each leaf one at a time. And as you do that, you'll actually uncover a deeper understanding of what's actually going on. So thanks for watching, and I hope this video is helpful for you to resolve conflict constructively rather than destructively.